Walked in girlfriend writing AP after our pause, and she said it was only 'cause she's drunk and vulnerable. My ex-girlfriend and I broke up in July. We had a great bond. She was my best friend. It was almost like I manifested her. She was beautiful, liked a lot of the same and important stuff as me, and was very kind. The only problem was sexual incompatibility. I wanted it more than she did. We dated for 1.5 years. I brought my issue up to her multiple times. She kept saying she would work on it since she wasn't very sexual and didn't feel sexy since she had self-esteem problems. I gave her time, but things only got worse. More and more time elapsed between sex. This made me have doubts about us. I tried controlling my urges by masturbating. She didn't like me doing that and asked that I stop. I did my best to not bug her about it for about 2 months. During that time I tried to make a move on her like once a week, but kept getting rejected. Finally I had enough after being rejected one day, and I told her we couldn't be in a relationship if we don't have sex. She said I know, and so I suggested we split up and she agreed. In hindsight, I wasn't treating her very well. I made it known that I didn't know if I could do things long-term with little sexual activity. I told her I might need to explore my options, but I wasn't sure because I liked her so much. I feel like I should have had more control over myself. It wasn't just that though. I had a lot of emotional trauma I needed to get over, which I told her from the beginning. I was needy, jealous, and worst of all, she went through my phone and saw texts between my coworker and I. She got upset because she said it seemed like my coworker likes me and like I was flirting with her. I apologized to her, and we tried to move on from it. The coworker thing happened about a year into the relationship. This was also a little after I had voiced my frustration of not having enough sex. I pushed her away with my actions. I was immature since this was my first relationship. I did so maybe little things were wrong, and I feel like I ruined it. I tried to get her back immediately after the breakup for about a month. The day we broke up she told me we may get back together in a few years. She needed to find and work on herself. She still loved me, she was afraid people would use me. She would miss me, and it felt like the worst mistake of her life for us to split, and I was her soulmate. All the cliché things. She said all of these things within the first 2 weeks since we were still hanging out. After 2.5 weeks since the breakup, I showed up to her place where we lived together for about a year, and she was on top of another guy. They were clothed. We didn't have sex for the last 2 months we dated. To make matters worse, it was her coworker who she had mentioned before, but denied there was anything there. I suspected something might happen since I saw her at a drinking event in town and she was with more coworkers, but I knew something was up with the one guy. I confronted her. She said it only happened because she was drunk and vulnerable. She said they never did anything while we were together. I know there was at least flirting while we were together. To be honest, I did flirt with my coworker the year before, but I told my coworker we could no longer be friends because I liked my ex-girlfriend too much. Almost like we're even. I still feel betrayed though. Likely as she did. It's been 5 months since that happened. Still think of her all the time. I also think of the night when I saw her with her coworker. I had trouble sleeping for months. Feels like I have a PTSD. I still have feelings for her, but those negative thoughts come up. I know people say an ex is an ex for a reason, but she felt like nothing I've had before. I know it's cliché, but our similarities were incredible. Even friends and family would say so. People thought we would never break up. I wish our time was right, but things unfolded that way for a reason. I only spoke to her one time in the last 4 months. She asked that we don't contact each other for a month after we broke up. She has given me signs about having feelings for me still. I've seen her out a few times. She said hi once, has photos of us on Instagram, is still really good friends with my sisters, texted me on my birthday, views my stories, and still posts sad memes and stuff we both enjoyed. My friend saw her out and spoke with her, and when my name came up in conversation he said she stormed off. She texted him the next morning, she apologized and said she still feels some type of way when she hears my name. I feel like she will come back to me at some point. I still need to heal from the traumatic situation. I'm sure she does too. 2 questions: should I get back with her if she does come back? I feel like the answer is yes. But I also feel like I was cheated on even though we weren't together. She still also works with the guy. Not sure if they hooked up or not. They aren't dating, I know that. Am I disrespecting myself if I do get back with her? Crazy GF thought I broke up with her and decided to bang a random dude. Now I'm doing exactly that. Hi guys, I'm using a friend's account because I don't want my GF to find out. My girlfriend, 34 female, and I, 28 male, have been dating for the last 10 years. The first 4 years of our relationship we were long distance. She was in Canada and I was in Pakistan. We had a good relationship, we would talk on call every week, text each other every day. She used to go out to clubs to party once a week or so. Things got even better for us when she moved to my city. Everything was good for 2 years when we got into a bit of financial trouble, and she had to pick a job that was in a different city, but in the same country. She was jobless for 3 months before she moved again, and I had to support her, including helping her move to another city. I have a small but growing business, so all these expenses put a very tight strain on me and my business. I discussed this with my girlfriend a lot. We agreed to keep our expenses low until our situation improves. In 2017, she had to attend a conference in London for 3 weeks. I was happy for her because it sounded like it was going to be a good experience for her career-wise. When she was in London, she would go and party every night, which annoyed me, because I was here in a different country stressed about our finances. I would barely get any sleep at night, and she knew this. I brought it up to her a couple of times on call when she was in London. She was very understanding at first, but then started getting annoyed because I would tell her to keep finances under control. It got to a point where she would stop taking my calls and tell me that she was busy with work, so I would just text her. After a day or 2, she stopped responding properly. It made me so frustrated on top of our financial troubles and my business doing very badly that after a whole day of no response on text, I texted her, "You have ruined my life." I know it was a very rude thing to say, but I got angry and couldn't control my words. She didn't reply to anything, and after waiting for a day I texted her apologizing for what I had said. She didn't respond with anything, so I got mad too and didn't text her back. 12 days later she was already back in Pakistan, and I decided to surprise her and apologize so that we can move forward with our relationship. I took a flight, took a cab to her apartment. As soon as I got there, the guard of that apartment building stopped me and asked where I was going. I told him I was going to XYZ apartment number. The guard was like the same apartment where this guy went to. Honestly, I was shocked because I didn't know my girlfriend let even her guy friends into her apartment. I called her and she didn't pick up. I texted her and she didn't respond. So I went and knocked on her door. She was shocked to see me and told me that she can't come into her apartment right now because there's someone else. Suddenly it hit me, my GF has another guy in her room. I went down crying, took the first cab I saw, and went to the airport. I took the first flight back home and turned my phone off. She called me the next morning and told me that since I had told her that she ruined my life, she thought I had broken up with her. She said she was feeling lonely and vulnerable. I tried asking her many times who the guy was. Was he her friend? How did they meet? Was this a one-time thing, or has this happened before? She kept saying that she loves me, and that it was a mistake, and it won't happen again. She also told me that she met this guy in London at that conference, and he lives in a different city in Pakistan, but works for the same company. But she won't properly respond to the other questions I'm asking her. She starts crying, making it impossible to talk. Here's the issue for me, guys. It's been quite a while since this has happened, and I've tried everything to move past this, but I still have some questions in my mind that have been eating me from the inside for 3 years now. Since she won't answer my questions, maybe someone from Reddit can help me understand. How can you be in love with someone for 7 to 8 years and forget that relationship when 2 weeks and end up sleeping with someone else? I can never do such a thing. I don't understand how she could. Do you guys think our understanding of being in love is different? While she was in London and before I texted her that you have ruined my life. Was she getting close to this guy? Because I don't understand how that guy can travel to her city to be with her alone in her apartment if something hasn't happened between them in London. I also wonder now when she was in the US she wouldn't party that much, but there have been instances where she would go out and text me the next day saying she got really drunk and passed out on her bed. Do you guys think she might have been sleeping with someone? She has to travel for work even now, and it always makes me wonder what might be going on. I know I shouldn't assume that she's cheating, but I'm always wondering this. Am I wrong here? We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. You will never know IMO. People react to breakups in different ways, and yes, sometimes that way is by sleeping with someone else. It's not that she forgot that she loved you, it's that she was likely trying to mask the pain. Also sorry, but it's pretty easy for a woman to get sex. If she's even reasonably attractive, she just has to show up at the bar, wear something sexy and flash a few smiles. Honestly. Comment 2. You should end this relationship, you don't trust her and haven't forgiven her. She won't even give you answers now about this, so I don't see working through this. Stop making each other miserable and move on. Comment 3. As I see it, she did cheat. She got your text the day saying you were sorry, so there's no I thought we broke up. I could understand if she slept with this guy that night, but there was no excuse after the apology was sent. My girlfriend invited drunk AP overnight in her own bed and said they only had deep conversations. My GF, 21, and I, 23, have been dating for a little over a year now. A couple months into our relationship, she started a new job and became close with a guy we'll call Josh, 29-30-ish, that works there. She considered him a best friend, which is completely fine. But they throw me off sometimes, and here's why. I've only met him a handful of times, but the first thing that threw me off was one of the first times I've met him. We were at a bar with her coworkers and I was sitting next to her, and she was sitting next to him. She rested her head on him, and I noticed and pretty much told her hey, like I'm not comfortable with it. She understood and said it wouldn't happen again. Second thing was, we were having dinner, and she was looking at her phone and laughed. I asked, what are you laughing at? She said nothing, and I asked again. She told me she was making plans with Josh to get drinks, and he responded, either you're trying to get me drunk or duck, or both, to which she responded, I'd rather not have to get a sti check. It was all just a jokes text, but I'm still uncomfortable with sexual jokes when you're in a relationship. A couple weeks ago, they went out and he got drunk/sick and tried to crash on her bed. They only live like a 10-minute walk or 3 minutes cab/Uber from each other. He was not feeling well, but in my eyes I've been way more ducked up and still managed to make my way home. No need to try to sleep at my girlfriend's place. She called me and told me the situation right away, and she's sleeping on the couch. I told her I was uncomfortable with the situation either way, since this is a grown man and should be able to handle himself and be able to get home without intruding on our relationship. Edit, he ended up pulling himself together and realizing he might get her in trouble, and he went back. She's told him personal crap about her family before she's told me, 'cause he understands better. She also always goes to him about our relationship problems, which I don't see a problem with. I just hope he doesn't have bad intentions and purposely put crap in her head. They go out not often, but when they do they'll go get drinks, then head back to his to have deep talks. She'll sometimes be there till 4 and plus, having deep talks. She always calls when she gets home, and tells me how her night was. I love her dearly, but she'll post him on her story when they're out, and I always get in my head about it. Should I be worried about maybe being emotionally cheated or physically, or am I just in my head? We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. He is 100% trying to duck your girlfriend. If he so much as steps a toe out of line, kick his ass. Better yet, let him know that you're aware he's trying to mosey in on your woman, and the lengths you'll go to inflict pain on him should he try anything. Really though, I'd blame the woman. She's not an idiot. Like, what people don't understand about the path towards cheating is that they were already predisposed in the first place. It wasn't we were just sitting next to each other and started making out. There's a long path towards that event that both of them willingly and knowingly took. Honestly, if it's someone who loves you, they would establish a boundary with another person. That texting bullcrap she pulled wouldn't fly with me at all. I would lose my crap if she didn't correct the guy. OP reply. LMAO, if I were to DM him saying I know what you're doing, a screenshot would be sent to my GF right away, and I'd look crazy. I do know what he's trying to do. The sleeping over at her place thing gave it away right away. Comment 2. Then make it known subtly that you know what he's trying to do. Honestly, man, I'd say what he's doing deserves an butt beating, but since she's allowing it, I'd say deserves a breakup. Well, if you're ever around him, just stare at him in the eye while he's talking to her, or give him a small smile and wave. Maybe let out a story about how this guy was trying to talk to your friend's girl, so you and your friends almost beat him to death. You know, show some dominance.